Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving deep into the hidden psychological traps and systemic financial invisible leashes that might be keeping you broke. If you've ever felt like you're working harder than ever but somehow just treading water financially, well, you are exactly in the right place.
Let's start right off the bat with a hard truth. You did everything right. You worked hard, you got that raise, maybe you even landed a brand new, higher-paying job. The promotions and bonuses hit your account. But at the end of the month, when you look at your balance, the math just isn't mathing. You make more money, but somehow you are still broke. How does that happen? Because here's the core truth. Freedom isn't about the raw number on your paycheck. Freedom only exists in the gap between earning and spending. If you don't fiercely protect that gap, those invisible leashes we're talking about will quietly siphon away your true financial freedom. The trap isn't necessarily the spending itself. It's the deeply held belief that simply making more income automatically equals more freedom.
Section 1. The Illusion of Progress. How we get trapped by success.
The absolute classic lifestyle creep. This is when your spending rises to perfectly match every single raise you get. Your brain tells you that upgrading to a nicer apartment or, buying the organic pre-cut fruit is progress. It feels like a reward. You earned more, so you deserve better, right? But the reality? Your lifestyle simply expanded to consume every extra dollar. You aren't saving more. You're actually just getting incredibly comfortable being broke, but at a higher salary. The gap stays exactly the same, or even shrinks. Now think about the trap of financing that middle-class image. There's a massive gap between expectation and reality here. The expectation is that by swiping your card for a designer bag, a fancy dinner, or a European vacation, you're building status. But the reality? You are going into debt to buy approval from total strangers. And the bitter irony is that those people are too busy financing their own fake success to even notice yours. Everyone's faking it, assuming everyone else's wealth is real, while the debt just quietly piles up in the background.
Then we add what we call the brand loyalty tax to this illusion. You think choosing a premium brand means you have taste and standards. But blind tests prove over and over again that generic products, whether it's cereal, denim, or even medication, are legally and physically identical to the big names. You aren't paying for better quality. You're paying a massive markup just for a logo, the packaging, and an emotional story. You are literally funding the machine that manipulates you.
Moving to Section 2. The Endless Debt Treadmill. Major life purchases.
Dealerships? Well, they are absolute masters at this. They promise you lower monthly payments, but it's a massive trap. You trade in your car, and they simply roll your old loan into the new one. To make that monthly payment drop, they stretch the loan term out from 5 years to 7 years. You're just extending the loan, rolling over negative equity, and basically renting with extra steps, all while drowning upside down on the asset. The cycle never ends because we keep chasing lower payments instead of actual vehicle ownership.
And then there's the ultimate American dream trap, becoming house poor. You own the address, sure, but the address owns you. You think the bank's $400,000 approval is a permission slip for success, proof that you can afford it. But banks calculate the maximum mortgage you can pay, not the life that comes with it. When the AC inevitably dies in July and the property taxes hit, you suddenly realize you bought yourself a beautiful 30-year financial prison. The walls are nice, but you can't afford to breathe or build a life beyond maintaining the structure.
Section 3. Death by 1,000 cuts. The daily drain.
Think about your illusion of safety versus the bank's mathematical reality. You get a credit card statement for a $3,000 balance and the minimum payment is only $60. Your brain sees 60 and thinks, okay, manageable, safe. But here's what the bank sees. Compound interest running quietly in the background, turning that $3,000 debt into a $6,000 nightmare that will take you over 12 years to pay off. They literally design these minimum payments to keep you paying forever, helping themselves to your future income one small chunk at a time. And man, this strain accelerates through invisible conveniences. A $7 delivery fee, plus service charge, plus a tip, just to avoid the stove. $10 a month for a gym you haven't visited since 2019, forgotten streaming subscriptions, premium apps, express shipping. Each choice trades a tiny bit of money for a minor comfort. It feels totally reasonable in the moment because, well, each one costs almost nothing on its own.
But here's the kicker. By year's end, those minor comforts quietly pull a staggering $4,000 to $6,000 from your income. That is money that could have cleared debt or funded your actual goals. Convenience as a default bleeds you dry. You aren't actually buying comfort, you're just renting it forever at a massive compound cost.
All this bleeding leads straight into retail therapy addiction. Retailers completely understand and prey on this exact cycle.
You have a bad day, so you buy something for a quick dopamine hit. It works for an hour, but then the guilt and the reality of the debt set in, making you feel worse. So your brain seeks relief by buying something else. The debt itself becomes the source of the anxiety you're desperately trying to escape. You're medicating with merchandise and paying interest on temporary relief.
Section 4. Sabotaging your financial future. Sacrificing tomorrow.
Financial experts basically scream from the rooftops that you need 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up. Yet most people have less than $400. This is the emergency-free delusion. It's living paycheck to paycheck with the blind faith that your car won't break and your dog won't need the vet. But emergencies aren't rare, they're guaranteed. Living without a buffer means one broken transmission guarantees an instant financial collapse that you'll have to put on a credit card at 20% interest.
To cope with this pressure, so many fall into the side hustle trap. Now, look, side hustles aren't inherently bad, but using them to fund an inflated lifestyle instead of fixing the root problem, that's a disaster. You end up working exhausting 60-hour weeks just to cover your overspending. It's like trying to outrun your own shadow. Actually, scratch that. It's worse, because cutting $500 from your budget solves the problem permanently. Earning an extra $500 requires a constant, ongoing sacrifice of your time and health.
Now, one of the most frustrating traps out there is the whole life insurance scam. You're pitched a product that protects your family, but the math tells a very different story. A huge chunk of your premium goes straight to agent commissions, and your cash value grows at a pitiful 2 to 3%. And if you die, the company keeps that cash value anyway. On the flip side, buying term life insurance and putting the difference into an index fund could earn you 8 to 10% annually, building real, accessible wealth over decades. Whole life is essentially just a wealth transfer from you to the insurance company.
Then we have the cost of the retirement delay. You know the lie, I'll invest when I make more money, when things settle down. But compound interest works through time, not effort. Investing $200 a month starting at age 25 yields over $500,000 by 65. But if you wait until 40 to start that same $200 a month, you barely break $200,000. By waiting for the perfect time, you aren't just starting late, you are permanently burning 30 years of compound growth. There is no perfect time. There is only compounding time.
So, we've uncovered the illusions, the treadmills, the daily drains, and the future saboteurs quietly running in the background of modern life. The system is perfectly designed to keep your pockets empty. The only question left is, now that you can finally see them, which invisible leash will you cut today? Thanks for joining this explainer. See you next time.